Joe Biggs here with Infowars.com. Now I'm joined today with
Chris Enzo.
Chris Enzo. So you actually had a friend who was in the club that night when it happened, early Sunday morning, late Saturday evening, however you look at it, and he was injured. And you said you're familiar with this area and what goes on here. Tell me what you've heard from someone who was actually there, what you guys know so far.
Well, what Rodney, who is my friend who was a bartender that got shot 3 times, said in his own words is that when he was there, he specifically witnessed the assailant coming in. He saw that this guy, he didn't think he was going to be a threat. He just saw him coming in. So then moments after that, pulls out a rifle with semi-automatic capabilities and was shooting, big caliber bullets. As soon as that happens, he literally hears the sound of bullets hitting people's skin, bullets piercing flesh, bullets breaking bones, people screaming, people crying, people in pandemonium. The other guy said that there was bodies dropping everywhere, and that the thing with Rodney said that was so crazy to him is that the person that he was serving in front of him, the person he was bartending with, died in front of him right before he got shot 3 times, and then the force of those bullets caused him to fall to the floor. And when he fell to the floor, that's when he was had to come to terms with the hardest decision of his life, whether or not he was going to live or die. And 2, he was really waiting for a ceasefire, but he says not only was there never a ceasefire, the thing that no one has really addressed yet is that he is convinced, and he is a smart guy, he really is a smart guy, that there was more than one assailant in that shooting. He believes that he heard 2 semi-automatic guns going off at the same time, and one of the shooters was obviously, the main shooter, the one that we're talking about, very calculated. All the 102 or 103 people that were hit, there was no mistakes. There was, from what I understand, there's no bullets that missed. There's bullets just hitting people. This was premeditated, well calculated, and extremely thought out from someone who's very skilled at hitting moving targets.
Yeah, what we heard from multiple sources thus far, there was a ABC report. This guy was talking on the phone saying that someone was holding the door shut, right, that they heard multiple gunfire as well. And that's the word on the street, that there could have been multiple terrorists in there involved in this. But yet the mainstream media keeps saying it's just this one guy, that's it. It was kind of like a random thing. The guy went in there because he'd seen 2 guys in Miami make out and it upset him. And now that his father's come out and made videos, right, condoning violence against homosexuals, things like that. So,
there are some things that are not being addressed in the main media right now. That is one. The assailants had bombs on their chest, right? That's something that we keep skipping over, and that's something that I think we need to be very well aware of, because even if gun laws were outsourced and people couldn't have gun laws and all this stuff, I feel like this guy would have set the place on fire. I feel like this guy would have built a bigger bomb. This guy would have found a way to commit destruction. Number 2, it really feels like some sleeper cell shit is happening, since we just had this other girl get killed in the exact same
right down the road,
weird phenomenon in the same area. It almost feels like these people were tasked with coming out to Orlando to commit chaos and murder and kill people. And between the multiple assailants, maybe someone holding the door, the bomb, and then the fact that not too long ago there was a shooting right here. Girl Christina Grimmie got shot in the same manner. A person came from St. Pete or Port St. Lucie or one of them. This guy drove out here, killed her, shot her in the head, then killed himself. Then this guy knew that he was going to die doing this. So this is an act of terror in the highest form of committing terrorism, as far as a 1 or 2 man army can commit.
That's just amazing when you sit here and think about that, And how's your friend doing right now?
Unfortunately, when I spoke to him yesterday, we were in high hopes that he'd be having a good surgery, but at the moment I just got word that his surgery is undergoing some complications, because what I said earlier in the interview is that they did not do a frag check on him, which means they did not check his body for fragments, because they just do not have the staff at Orlando Regional to go through and do everything that is needed to do for every single patient. But that complication of the fragment that he has in his body may be a small thing, and he may be on his way to a very good recovery. Rodney himself is a strong-willed person. He's a little bit older than me. He's got girlfriend, daughter. You know, he's 2 kids. He's got he's been a model. He's a really big guy, really kind, loving guy. I know people think this was an act of hate, but I myself am straight. I'm a hetero, and so is Rodney. But Rodney and myself and everyone else here in Orlando does support the LGBT community. Everyone is okay with them and what they're doing, and nobody wants to commit hateful crimes against people that are not doing anything to warrant being murdered in the highest form of terrorist attack that we've seen since 9/11.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. People keep saying that this is, like you said, an act of hate. President Obama even came out and said this is an act of hate, and what that does, that takes focus off of the fact of what it really is. The fact that we have a commander-in-chief or president who won't even say radical Islam. These guys go around in Syria, Iraq, all over, and they go and throw homosexuals off bridges. These guys, it's an ideology thing. These guys are radical. And why can't we ever call it what it is? Why has it become a race thing or a hate thing? No, this was an attack on American soil by a terrorist organization meant to do harm to Americans. Because like you said, those are Americans just like me and you. We might not be gay like them. We might have different views, but we still, at the end of the day, we love one another and we want the best for people.
We do. I think the average person, an average person who grew up here in America, is not going to grow up a hateful person. The average person is going to grow up with a mutual, decent respect for other people. So when you really try to categorize this, if you try to put this in a box, if you try to say it was a hate crime, it was this crime, yeah, Islamic radicalism and all that, but at the end of the day, what I'm dealing with is the fact that I have to figure out who I know that was murdered and what funerals I'm attending this week, because there is a very, very high chance that I do know some of the people whose names have not yet been released.
Well, man, I'm sorry for what you had to go through, brother, man. That's horrible. You know, no one ever thinks it's going to come here. I mean, what are your viewpoints on the fact that a lot of the mainstream media is coming out and they're calling for more gun control, things like that? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we should have a more well-armed populace to make these kind of areas not a soft target, right, i.e. as in having armed security to, you know, take out a threat like that in case something happens?
Right. Well, my personal opinion on that is something that is stimulating and kind of kicking up the fear that they want us to feel right now. And one message that I'm very serious about promoting is that me and every other citizen in Orlando, we're not going to live in fear. We are not going to let terrorists think that they can cause us fear. We know that we've been attacked. We do want security to be beefed up. I'm actually going to have a show. We're actually putting on, before this happened, we were going to put on a EDM show, electronic dance music, and we were going to, now that I've had a phone call with everyone that's going to do that production, we're going to have a big moment of silence, and I want every last single citizen to know that we're going to be stronger. We've already donated over 5,000 people have already donated blood. We are going to band together. We are not going to give in to terrorism. We are going to be stronger because of this. And as far as securing us with guns and all that stuff, just keep these people protected is all I have to say. I mean, whatever method, whatever money goes into that, however you do that, as long as we're out here being how we were before, promoting the love, peace, and harmony that we have and making sure that these kind of things don't happen, I really don't know where to categorize some type of homicidal maniac and what he's going to do. I just don't know how to do that.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me, man. It means a lot. And like I said, I'm sorry for what you're going through. Hopefully your buddy makes it through, and hopefully you don't have to hear any of the names of people that you do know. But if you do, man, I wish you all the best, and stay strong and, you know, stay in there.
Absolutely.
This has been Joe Biggs with Infowars.com.